Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Friday, March 7th, 2025. I, of course, am here with your daily mortgage rate update, the only place on the web where you get to join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you are here. We do broadcast to you on Facebook and on YouTube each and every weekday morning. If you're watching on the replay, there you go. Don't forget to smash that like button, tag another friend, share this post in a group. If you would like reminders that I am going live, you just want that sent to your cell phone, and that way you can just click the link and join me. Go ahead and sign up for those, hmmr.io/reminder, or this cool QR code over here. Also, when it comes to QR code, you can take a screenshot on your phone and then go to your photos later, and it will still come up, and you can click the button, and it works. I think that is freaking great. QR codes, a few years ago, they were absolutely useless because you needed to download an app that could read them. And now it's native in the phones, and they are so much better. Otherwise, they were really not going anywhere. So, all right, my friends, well, let's say hello. I got good news for you this morning as far as jobs data, but we're going to dig a little deeper into it. We're going to spend some time going over it. There's quite a few things going on here that we'll kind of unpack and digest. But let's say hi to the live folks. If you're here this morning, we got Brandy Brickler first to say hello. Hi, Brandy. Hope all is well in Texas. Amy Blauser, good morning. Mallory Fotiadas, great to see you. James Mahan, good morning, sir. Megan Lindberg, hello. Let me pull this over here so I can. Tom Stafford, good morning. Michael Love, great to have you here. Yasmin Martin, happy Friday to you as well. Amber Moser, good morning. Giddy up, Mr. Randy Teakle. Glenn Bassard, great to see you, my friend. Hope all is well with everybody today. All right, well, I don't see Mr. Ron Siegel telling us what kind of fancy day it is, so let's dive into the good stuff, and we'll go from there. Let me see. We move this over here. We're going to get rid of this here. Okay, so mortgage-backed securities up a whopping 9 basis points on the day. You could see here they were actually up a little bit. Let me zoom in on this. Probably have to refresh the page. No, there it goes. Okay, awesome. So if we take a look here, you could see that yesterday things were pretty solid, right? We came out with pricing around between 10 and 10:30. Very few lenders repriced better yesterday. At worst, when lenders pricing a little bit later, they were around 101.38, 101.40. End of the day, around 101.50. Very few reprices better yesterday. That would have already put us in position to see better pricing this morning. Bonds opening at 101.64. Remember that I have an invisible line in the sand over here at 101.50, right? So right around this white 101.49 line, I'm going to call it 101.50. And right about there, it was kind of where we were spending time a little bit above that. And then we kind of fell back below that. And that was a concern to me. Now, if we look at the 10-year Treasury yield, 4.24 is the magic number. And if we rounded this up, we're at 4.25. We're above it. Whereas if we want to treat it natural, if it was 4.244, we'd say it was 4.24, right? So, but this 200-day moving average running right at that 4.24 mark, this is a technical support and resistance level, depending on which side they are on. So basically this morning, bonds down a little bit. Yesterday they closed at 4.28, the day before 4.28, right? So now falling back and testing that 4.24, it will act as a resistance level for the yield to go lower. I don't think we're going to see the 10-year really break below that. There's not much that's going to push it there right now. Nothing to get super excited about when it comes to that. So basically, let's go over what the jobs data did. Now, if you remember yesterday, my advice had been to lock anything closing in the next 15 days because too much volatility we had seen. And that was mainly due to the tariffs, right? The reason that we saw volatility this week is that the tariffs against Canada and Mexico went into effect on Tuesday, and then auto tariffs were pushed off on Wednesday. And then yesterday, they actually, I think almost all the tariffs, all the ones that are represented by the USMCA agreement are now covered. So that was the adjustment there. I was reading all these, so I'll get them back to the things we can go on. So let's go ahead and go into the jobs data first, since that's going to be the big thing. So there were 151,000 jobs created. The number of jobs that were expected, it ranged from 160 to 170,000, depending on who was making the projection. But there were whispers beforehand that it could come in below 100,000, right? So markets getting 151,000 is a miss because it's lower than what was expected, but it's not nearly as low as what was behind the scenes expected. And that's why you're not seeing a super strong reaction in bonds to this. I mean, up 14 basis points now, and the 10-year treasury yield at 4.23. That's great, but it's not like some huge rally. What it really does is it brings rates back to basically where we were at the beginning of the week. So when we began the week, 6.74 on Mortgage News Daily. Yesterday, pushing up to 6.79. Now it'll drop back down to 6.74. If we use Optimal Blue and we take a look at the 30-year fixed here, basically we started the week here at 6.55, pushed up to 6.63. This would help it come back down. You should see it on rate sheets, but maybe not see it quite as much. So this week we'd seen rates kind of creep up a hair, and they'll come back down a hair is what you're going to see happen now because of the jobs data. So the 151,000 jobs created. Now there was expectations. Why were there whispers that it could be much lower than that? Well, because of all the federal layoffs, right? However, this print, the deadline, a lot of that happened a week after that. So a lot of people are saying the next jobs report, they're expecting for it to come in lower and reflect all of those federal jobs that, and all that stuff. So expect to see that on the next one, and we'll see more expectations. There were 125,000 jobs added in January, so the 151,000 in February is better than what was added in January. Revisions were small. The net revisions over the last 2 months was like 2,000. We've seen revisions that are like 100,000, 150,000. So that's actually pretty funny that the revisions were so tight. Now, economists believe the cuts to federal government jobs have some since Trump took office, came too late to be captured in the February figures. I told you that already, right? The report did show a loss of 10,000 federal government jobs over the month. Unusual, both because it's a decline and because it's such a large one. And that's very telling on why, again, without going too deep into all this stuff, but why we do need to see some pullback on the government. I know that people losing their jobs is rough and it's a bad thing. I get that on the human level, on the micro level, but on the macro level, the big picture, our government is way bloated. And you can't just keep people on payroll because they need those jobs. So there's a big part of that. Healthcare accounted for a large portion of the employment gain, adding 52,000 jobs. Transportation and warehousing industries added 18,000 jobs. On the other side of the ledger, retailers were down 6,000. That's a big deal. Pay attention to that. That's signals of economic weakness. That's one of the things that markets and traders are looking at. That would be more of an economic weakness. That's going to help mortgage rates if that's the case. And leisure and hospitality lost 16,000 jobs. Again, people spending less discretionary and disposable income is what gets reflected here. If we see that continue to happen, that's when you're going to see expectations of Fed rate cuts at the end of the year. Currently expecting 3 Fed rate cuts still, right? And as that number grows, we've only got expectations of about 25% that we'll see 2 cuts or less. So 3 cuts or more, 75% when you add all this up, right? 33, 60, 70, just about 70%, we'll call it. So that's what you're seeing there. So this is important because how do we get that longer term picture? Where do we think things are going? Right now, markets still anticipating that the economy is going to weaken, anticipating that the labor market is going to weaken, that we're going to get lower, things coming in. So keep that in mind. That's the direction that we're headed. When we look at mortgage bonds and where we're going, though, again, now we're only up 5 basis points. Reprice risk on the day is moderate because we have seen a lot of volatility. Stocks are whipsawing like crazy based on the tariff headlines, right? Keep that in mind. So stocks whipsawed by tariff confusion, teeter near key level. It's been a whirlwind of a week for U.S. stocks as tariffs hit a fever pitch, sending S&P 500 into a tailspin, briefly drove it below a closely watched technical level. Now, again, we know that the latest word on the tariffs was that any expectation, trying to see if they've got it in here, but any expectation of tariffs that we're going to hit China, or not China, Canada and Mexico, if they're under the USMCA, they're pushed off till April. So some interesting articles about that in here as well, about Sheinbaum, the Mexican president, who was accused of being an ice queen by her competitor in her opponent in the Mexican presidential election. But she's been an even keel. She doesn't get all reactionary to Trump's antics. And again, love him or hate him, I don't care how you feel about it. Everyone, it's funny, but the reality is the guy is, ice cold, super hot in the same 5 minutes, right? He's very, very tough to nail down. He will change his mind. He doesn't care. You can think it's the worst thing in the world. You could think it's the best thing in the world. Doesn't matter. But it does affect on how all of this plays out. Sheinbaum has been very calm. That's been very good. Whereas Trudeau, and I will share my feeling that I think Trudeau is a friggin' idiot. I don't believe that Canada, he should be out, I think, in 2 days now. I think he's out. So, and good riddance. The guy's a nuisance and he's a twit. So he's the one that's been playing all the things. In the meantime, Canada and their numbers are down quite a bit compared to the US. Why? Because they're not the US. So whining by China, all the normal stuff. So anyway, that's what we got going on. I don't expect to see, I expect to see bonds close right around this level, right around plus 10 basis points. We're going to watch that 101.50 mark. I'll reassess all the technicals next week. We'll see. What do we got going on next week? Let me just make this bigger and we'll look. Let me make this smaller. Economic calendar for next week. We've got, by the way, Jerome Powell will be speaking today. It's the last time before they go on the Fed blackout period. Remember the Fed blackout period? It's the Saturday before the Saturday before the Fed meeting. Fed meeting is on 18th and 19th. So this will be the last we'll hear from the Fed. But I don't think it's going to really cause much of a shakeup. Let's take a look at the economic calendar for next week, though. I'll pull this over so you guys can see it with me. Monday, consumer inflation expectations. Tuesday, we get the JOLTS data finally on Tuesday. That could actually give us a little bit of an improvement if it shows more labor market weakness. The core CPI is going to be the big one on Wednesday. It's not even just the regular CPI, but the core CPI is what everyone's looking at. So next week we get inflation data. That's kind of there. So when it comes to locking, I'm floating into next week. Let me put this on here. I'm going to show this and then let me pop it on here. Float into next week. The idea being, if something was risk averse or was problematic, we should have locked it before this morning's jobs data. Again, this morning's jobs data, if it had come in strong, it would have absolutely been devastating to pricing based on the reaction that we're seeing for the miss. Being up 9 basis points on the miss, I mean, if you locked yesterday, did you leave much on the table? No, not at all, right? It's Friday. Lenders are going to be more conservative anyway. There's really not much that you're leaving on the table here. But when it, comes into next week's data, that's kind of where we're at. So what do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. Randy said a lot fewer folks buying retrievers currently and fewer sending to pro trainers. Yes, because Randy he trains, is it duck dogs? Is it just duck hunting? Or is there any kind of hunting, Randy, for the dogs that you train? Randy trains the dogs for retrieving the ducks when you do duck hunting. So that's what he's got. Mike said Michigan's warming up, putting the float boat in the water. There you go. Yeah, let's float it into next week. I don't think we really have much to worry about there, my friends. What are y'all doing this weekend? I'm putting in the kitchen cabinets. Guys, I'm going to take you for a ride. You guys want to see the new kitchen floors? Let me know in the comments. There's like a 30-second delay. There's 37 of you on, but let me know. I want to share with you, right? I'll show you. So I'm going to use the iPhone camera, so it might make you a little dizzy. But come with me for a minute. You're not going to hear my audio very well. Look at my poor office. I've got stuff all over my office, but take a look with me. Again, you're gonna not hear me. Here we go. Let's go for a walk. I'll show y'all. Take a look at the kitchen. All right. I'll be putting in my kitchen cabinets next week, but look how great those floors look. I'm gonna take you for a quick. Trying not to make you car sick. Bear with me. Trying not to make you car sick, but yeah, I'll be putting in the cabinets, and there you go. So I love using the iPhone for a camera. It's so cool. It's so awesome for this part. So awesome. Well, thank you guys for going for the ride with me. Let me know what you think. The floors are like a gray wash to really go with the natural wood because it's just too much wood by itself. It's just I don't love that everything would look. I like to break it up. But yeah, so kitchen cabinets going in this weekend. I'll be busy tomorrow. I got a buddy coming to help me, and we'll be putting in all the cabinets. I'll put temporary countertops so we can at least go back to things. My appliances, everything but my oven, speed oven, microwave combo is in. So that stuff's not in yet, but hopefully that'll get in soon, and then they'll deliver that, and I'll be putting in appliances. I'm excited. So thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. I love the floors too. They came out great. Randy, you got the same floors? Awesome, man. Taylor, I could see the vision. It's going to be incredible. Thank you. Yeah. The, even doing the work myself, like I'm going to have someone come in and do the countertops, but just doing the cabinets and everything. I mean, I'm looking at probably all said and done around 40 or 50,000, all in on the kitchen to get this thing done. Not cheap, but if I had paid someone else to do it, I probably would have been twice that. I'm not going to lie. So, and that includes the floors and everything else. Sean, I want to live in a cabin in the woods. Sean, dude, I love where I live. Absolutely love it. So, and my barn got pushed off till next week, but hopefully I'll be able to show you guys progress as we get the barn built up there, and you'll be able to see it. And I'll zoom in on that as it's being built. Hopefully we'll be excited. We'll be able to take a look at that. So I'm excited about that too. A lot going on in my world. What's going on in your world? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys are doing this weekend. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. And thank you for spending time with me today. So I'll see you guys next week. And when I'm not pressed up against the wall anymore, I can have my office back. So, all right, my friends, I'll see you guys next week.